For thousands of years, people have argued over one question: who are the real Israelites? Today's science is helping answer that question in a way that history alone never could. Every time a study about Jewish DNA makes the news, many people ask the same question: what makes Jewish people so different? The answer is actually much simpler than most people think. Imagine your last name has been passed down in your family for hundreds of years. Even if your family moved from Italy to Canada, then to the United States, your family's history wouldn't disappear. It would simply travel with you. DNA works in a similar way. The difference between Italians and Jews. An Italian, generally someone whose ancestors came from Italy. Italy has been home to many different groups of people for thousands of years. As a result, Italians are generally very diverse. Someone from northern Italy may have different ancestry than someone from Sicily. The Jewish people are different because they are both a people and a historical nation. About 2,000 years ago, many Jews were forced to leave the ancient land of Israel. They settled in Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, and later around the world. Even though they lived in different countries, many Jewish communities continue marrying within their own community and preserve their tradition. Because of that, scientists can still find many shared genetic patterns linking them back to the ancient Levant, the region that includes Israel. Does that mean Jews have special DNA? No. It doesn't make Jewish DNA is better or more advanced than anyone else's. It simply means many Jewish people still carry enough shared ancestry that scientists can recognize they came from a common ancient population. Think of it like finding members of the same extended family after they have lived in different countries for 2,000 years. Why is this important? This research is important because for generations, the Jewish people have not only been persecuted for being Jewish, but have also had their identity constantly challenged. Some have claimed that today's Jews are not the descendants of the ancient Israelite. Others have promoted theories that European Jews are primarily descended from the Khazars and therefore have no real connection to the ancient Israel. Still, others have argued that only Black people are the true Jews and that anyone else is an imposter. Modern genetic research does not support these broad claims. Instead, it constantly finds that many Jewish communities, despite living around the world for nearly 2,000 years, still share ancestry that trace back to the ancient Levant. This does not mean every Jewish person has identical DNA, nor does it mean every person with Jewish ancestry practices Judaism today. Families migrate, intermarriage, convert, and change religion over the centuries. DNA simply preserves the clue about where many of their ancestry came from. It is also important to understand that Judaism has never been based on skin color. Jewish people have had light skin, dark skin, brown skin, or any other complexion. Jews have lived on nearly every continent for thousands of years. What connects many Jewish communities genetically is not the color of their skin, but evidence of shared ancestry that scientists can detect through DNA. Why does this matter today? This research isn't about proving that one group is better than the other. It's about understanding history. DNA has become another piece of evidence alongside archaeology, written records, language, tradition that help trace where population came from. For many Jewish people, these studies also answer a question that has been asked repeatedly through history. Are today's Jews really connected to the ancient people of Israel? Modern genetic research says that for many Jewish population, the answer is yes. While Jewish community also reflect ancestry from the country where they lived during diaspora, they still retain detectable genetic links to the ancient homeland. That is why these studies receive so much attention. They are not trying to prove superiority. They are addressing claims that have been made for decades for people who insist that modern Jews are fake Jews or have no ancestry connection to the land of Israel. The bottom line, the reason scientists find Jewish DNA interesting isn't because Jews are a separate people or biologically superior. It is because despite being scattered across the world for nearly 2,000 years, many Jewish communities still carry enough shared ancestry that researchers can trace their family roots back to the ancient land of Israel. That's what makes the finding significant. They tell a story about history, migration, survival, and continuity, not about one people being better than another. In the end, DNA does not decide a person's worth, nor does it replace history, faith, or culture. But it has become one more powerful piece of evidence showing that many Jewish communities have maintained a genuine ancestral connection to the ancient people of Israel. That is why these discoveries matter so much, especially at a time when the identity of the Jewish people continues to be questioned, challenged, and denied. If the evidence shows that many Jewish communities still carry ancestral roots connecting them to the ancient Israelites, then perhaps it's time to stop repeating old myths and start following the evidence wherever it leads. Being Jewish is more than belonging to a religion. The Jewish people are the descendants of the ancient Hebrews, also known as the Israelites. Judaism is the faith that grew out of that people, but the people came first. DNA cannot tell us everything about a person's identity, but it can help preserve the historical records of where many of our ancestors came from. The question isn't whether the evidence agrees with our opinions. The real question is this: are we willing to change our opinion when the evidence points us in a different direction? Truth should never be determined by politics, ideology, or popular opinions. It should be determined by where the evidence leads us. A final thought. Being Jewish is not simply about belonging to a religion. The Jewish people are the descendants of the ancient Hebrews, also known as the Israelites. Judaism is the faith that grew out of the people, but the people came first. Likewise, Judaism does not teach polytheism. Rudy Rothman argues that Judaism is best understood as pantheistic, meaning that everything in existence exists within God's creation and presence, while Hashem is one rather than there being multiple gods or separate divine beings. The triology belief, however, is separate from the scientific evidence discussed here. DNA speaks to ancestry and history. Faith speaks to our relationship with Hashem.